All right, guys, so this video that you're about to see is wild. This is some TYT hosts almost getting into a fist fight over Gaza and Israel. This is one of the most passionate, screaming debates I've ever seen on YouTube, and as you all know, YouTube is packed full of those sorts of debates. So this is Ben Glebe here. He has massive disagreements with Cenk and their other host on the panel here who are very, very critical of Israel for what they're doing in Gaza. Ben is more of the mindset that, look, Israel, even if you don't like them, I think their intentions are good. This is sort of his position, that, no, really, this is just a hunt for Hamas. They're trying to get the bad guys. And if civilians die, yeah, it sucks. But at the same time, I mean, that's war, kind of. That's his reaction. Like, that's war. And since the intentions are good of the Israeli government and the IDF, therefore, like, you can't be as hard on them as you are on Hamas, or you can't be harder on them than you are on Hamas. This is sort of his position. I'm summarizing it here. Well, Cenk is not at all buying it, and this gets into an absolute scream fest. Let's watch.
Every damn way possible, you should see the legitimacy. You both called it a genocide. It is not a genocide. The International Criminal Court will decide officially whether they think it is or not. It's a sham accusation. It's ridiculous because it is Israel defending itself. I got back yesterday from Israel. I was there for 10 days. During the 10 days that I was there were approximately 170 missiles launched at Israel. There were 9 on-the-ground terrorist attacks. There were Israelis murdered in the streets while I was there. There were rockets that hit Tel Aviv near where I was. I didn't have to seek shelter because it wasn't the exact part of Tel Aviv I was in, but friends of mine did. If you are at the mercy of a terrorist organization.
At the mercy?
You mean the IDF as the terrorist organization?
No, I do not mean the IDF as a terrorist organization. The IDF is defending itself against these genocidal monsters that are Hamas, and it's well documented and everybody understands that it's an incredibly difficult situation with an incredibly unique set of circumstances of how densely populated it is, how monstrous Hamas is by using their own people as human shields, by putting all of, we're still using that because it's a fact, Cenk.
Fact.
What you're still using is genocide and ethnic cleansing, neither of which make any sense or hold the muster of fact.
It's absurd.
It is not ethnic cleansing because if you've ever been to Israel, have you been to Israel?
Why would I go to a barbarous country that imprisons 5 million Palestinians and never lets them go and brutalizes them, murders them at every turn? So why would I go to that country? Are you insane? No one go to Israel. You should never go to Israel until they end the occupation, and then we love them and we go back.
It's an incredible nation, and it's the only democracy in the Middle East.
Democracy.
And you all the time use that as the example of why they should be held to a different standard than Hamas. You talk out of both sides of your mouth on this issue constantly. You say they're a democracy, so that's why they have to be held to a different standard. Then I call them a democracy, and you laugh mockingly at the only democracy that is our allies in that region. It's so ridiculous and egregious. And despite all of the evidence shown and all of the tactics that the IDF...
All right, hold on. They say they're a democracy. They say they're a civilized nation. So, okay, you want to be a civilized nation, we should hold you to the rules and the laws of civilized nations. It should apply to you. We have the Nuremberg Tribunal. We have the Geneva Conventions. We have international law. Yeah, it should apply to you if you suck yourself off and say, we're a democracy and we're a civilized nation. We're the forces of light against the forces of darkness. Yeah, of course it should apply to you. But the point Cenk makes is, but they're not really a democracy. Look, keep it real, it's true. They're not. Just call it what it is. Call a spade a spade. They are effectively an ethno-state and a theocracy. It's a mix of an ethno-state and a theocracy. That's what they are. I don't know why people struggle on that point. If you are a Zionist, the whole point is there should be an official Jewish state. Not a secular state, which is a haven for Jews. No, an official Jewish state. As in either the ethnicity or the ideology, or both, are the guiding feature and function of it. So I don't see a contradiction there. He's trying to like hypocrisy burn Cenk. There is no contradiction there. You say you're a democracy. You say you're a civilized nation, so we should hold you to those standards. But also, your perception of yourself is just factually wrong, but I think deep down, of course, Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, no, we're a Jewish nation. We are effectively a Jewish supremacist nation. Now, what's unfair, though, is that the name of non-Zionist Jews gets dragged down because of these evildoers, right? Like, there's so many Jews who are leading the charge against Zionism. That groups like Not in Our Name or Not in My Name, right? And If Not Now. These are groups that are like, our Judaism is not affiliated with that because they are an ethno-state and a theocracy and a barbarous supremacist movement, Okay, let's continue.
Under the advisement of what it needs to do to try to attain its objectives militarily, it does a litany of things that no other nation does. It's an average of 2.5 civilians killed to military combatants compared to a typical ratio of other wars that is much higher. Compared to American wars, that's 10 to 1, 12 to 1.
That's just a lie. That's just a lie. First of all, the bogus numbers from the IDF, they say, oh, 61% of the people we killed are civilians. Well, first of all, holy shit, that is literally worse than what Hamas did on October 7th. Literally. According to Israel's own numbers. They said it was 55%, it was either 55% innocent civilians, 45% military targets, or 55%, or it's like the reverse of that. Either way, it was 55 to 45. That was Hamas's numbers according to Israel. They say, oh, we have a 61% kill rate of innocent civilians. Well, that's horrible. It's already worse than Hamas, first of all. Second of all, that's not even true. In that tally, they include all military-age men as combatants. But the overwhelming majority of the military-age men are not combatants. Hamas is 30,000 fighters out of 2.3 million people in Gaza. What are we talking about here? So the number, according to Euromed Monitor, the human rights group, is 92% of those killed are innocent civilians. So this idea, oh, they try so hard and they're so good towards civilians and they're the most moral army in the world. That is just total garbage. It is totally disconnected from reality.
Yet those numbers do not bother you. You say
what
that
do you mean they don't bother me? I did a decade of shows against that.
Those numbers don't affect your opinion of what's going on now, I meant to say. And you then also just make up that they're clearly trying to get the Gazan people into Egypt and displace them when that is not true. There have been some insane statements from some elements in the Israeli government that are not the official position of the government. That is not what the statement of Netanyahu
said. From the river to the sea.
He said from the river to the sea. They need.
He's talking about Netanyahu said from the river to the sea.
Control of their security. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's exactly what the Palestinians say. When we say from the river to the sea, they say it's political. But when it's a Muslim,
exactly
genocide. You know they didn't actually do it. When it's Israel, when they're actually doing the genocide, no. From the river to the sea, as they're in the middle of the genocide.
That is such an ignorant statement. That is such an ignorant statement. When the Palestinians say from the river to the sea, they literally are saying without Jews and Israelis living there and pushing them into the sea. Because
is that what a left-wing college kid means when they say from the river to the sea? Is a left-wing college kid with a septum ring and pink hair, are they calling for genocide when they say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free? If you actually talk to these people, they'll tell you, no, what I mean is a democratic, secular, one-state solution for all where everybody has equal rights. Israelis, Jews, Palestinians, Muslims, everybody has equal rights. That's what they say they mean. So are you going to take them at their word or not? Look, I agree with Ben that when a Hamas fighter says from the river to the sea, yeah, they mean no more Israelis here, no more Jews here at all. We want the whole thing. That's true, and that's condemnable when they say it. But guess what? When Netanyahu says from the river to the sea, oh, we know what he means. He's in the midst of carrying out the ethnic cleansing right now. They're in the midst of doing the genocide right now. North Gaza no longer exists. It has been wiped off the map. It's been wiped off the map. So to try to act like, no, bro, he just means it for, like, protecting the security. He doesn't want to do any harm to Palestinians. What are you on, son? Whatever drugs you're on are wild. They are distorting your perception beyond belief.
Because that's actually killing them, butchering them.
That's why you've condemned the statement.
You've got a theoretical statement on one side, and on the other side you're actually butchering.
So why did you condemn the statement? Because you know that's what it means. That's why you condemn it.
Why don't you condemn Netanyahu, that monster who just said from the river to the sea?
Because he's not saying that they need to displace the Palestinians.
Ben. You're the most.
He absolutely is saying that. That is some Pollyanna-ish bullshit. Oh, Netanyahu, when he says that, he means well. He doesn't want to do harm to any Palestinians. They're in the midst of doing a genocide of Gaza, but he's only doing a genocide with good intentions for his own security. Jesus Christ.
And I do condemn Netanyahu.
The Muslims can't say it, but the Israelis can say it all day long as they do it. They're murdering Palestinians as we speak.
They need to disavow a fundamentalist belief that wants to kill all Jews as a disease and not allow.
All right, so why don't Israelis have to disavow the far-right ethno-nationalist Jewish supremacist belief, which is leading to the destruction of Gaza, virtually all of Gaza, and displacing Palestinians, ethnically cleansing Palestinians? Why do you hold one standard for one side, but you don't hold it for your side? Because again, in his mind, no matter what you say, no matter what the evidence points to, he thinks Israel means well. You know, they're trying to be moral. It's all about defense. He's actually bought that line of bullshit, which I don't know how at this late you could believe that. I just don't know. They did a controlled demolition of the last university in Gaza the other day. A controlled demolition of it. How's that a hunt for Hamas? How's it a hunt for Hamas to do a medieval-style siege where you stop all food, fuel, water, electricity, etc. from 2.3 million Gazans? How is that a hunt for Hamas? It is literally, by definition, collective punishment. They said, we are doing collective punishment. We don't think anybody's innocent here. So how do you look at that and say, no, they mean well, and it's just, they're just trying to go after the bad guys? I mean, I don't know how anybody can actually believe that looking at the evidence. But look, I'll take him at face value that he does believe that somehow, which it's just, wow, that is stunningly blind.
That might not bother you, but it does bother me as an Israeli Jew.
That's such a weak excuse. I'll tell you why.
My people,
yes, I'll tell you why.
Please.
Because you always hide, like as if Israel's a tiny little country.
It is.
And they're so defenseless. They're so, oh my God, they can't do anything against the all-powerful Palestinians, who they imprison and take away their water, power, electricity, murder them at all terms, etc. No. If someone was actually trying to kill the Jews, Ben, I would line up in the front line with you. Are you crazy?
They just did that on October 7th.
Exactly. So you go
and they just did it while I was there. They just killed a bunch of people.
So why don't you care about Palestinian lives, Ben?
Of course I do.
24,000 dead, 10,000 children.
Of course I do.
You don't care about them. You don't care about them at all.
Cenk, you can shout all you like, but you are the one condemning them to murder. So why don't you care about their lives?
Condemning them to murder?
You're condemning them to a never-ending cycle.
Poor
Palestinians.
It's being made to kill them.
Palestinians. You are condemning Palestinians to murder. Because every time I suggest that you put any pressure, or the world puts any pressure on Hamas to stop, you say they're terrorists. You can't ever tell them to stop, so you can only tell Israel to stop, which, as you know...
Ben, this is really easy. I hope you're watching, even though you're not. Just pay attention. This is very simple. Norm Finkelstein said this. I have no problem at all. In fact, I think the best solution, go and arrest all of the Hamas leaders who no doubt were involved in the planning of October 7th. Go and arrest all of the remaining leaders. And by the way, a lot of them are in Qatar. Some of them are in Turkey. Go arrest them. If you have to bribe the Qatari government to do it, bribe the Turkish government to get it, that's fine. Go arrest them. Bring their ass to the International Criminal Court or the International Court of Justice. Try them on war crimes charges and lock them up forever. But you should also do that with Netanyahu and Ben-Gvir and Smotrich and whatever other Israeli commanders and generals are out in the field saying, Hannibal directive, kill everything in sight, even our own people. Whoever's making the decision to do a total siege, which is leading to the starvation of thousands and thousands of people, which is leading to people dying from thirst. Whoever is making those decisions, lock them up too and throw away the key. So war crimes on both sides. How's that? Now, would Cenk agree with my position? I'm sure he would agree with my position. So you want to talk about even-handed? Whoever commits a war crime should be held accountable for that war crime. Full stop. Full stop. But, my guess is, his take would be, yeah, sure, do it for the Hamas people, but Netanyahu, no. He means well. They mean well. Or the Israeli government means well. He has condemned Netanyahu at various points, but if you say, is he a terrorist, as they're about to ask him, he'll say no. It's like, okay, so then who's the one that really has the double standard here? You do.
Means that this war will end, Hamas will regroup, they will kill more Israelis, and Israel will kill more Palestinians. And that's what you want. That's what you're advocating for.
That's insane, Ben.
That's exactly what you're advocating for.
I want a two-state solution where you actually have peace.
So do I.
But not Netanyahu.
That's a horrible statement he makes, and that should not be the position.
Terrorist, right?
But no, not terrorist.
Of course he's a terrorist. He just said from the river to the sea, and he's actually doing it. He's 20 times the terrorist that Hamas is.
I will be with you if he actually encourages.
He's doing it, Ben. What more do you need? 48,000?
Not one person's been displaced out of Gaza.
Are you insane?
Out of Gaza, not one.
Out of Gaza.
Oh my, he said not one person has been displaced out of Gaza. Holy shit. There's 2.3 million people in Gaza. 1.955 million have now lost their homes. They are homeless. They are displaced. He said, not one has been displaced out of Gaza. If the Israeli government got their way, they already tried to push Egypt, open up the Rafah border, to set up a tent city in the Sinai Desert to finish the ethnic cleansing. This idea that, it's okay to make 1.955 million people to bomb their houses and put them in a little tiny corner of Gaza where they're going to get bombed again. Ben, Jesus Christ, holy shit.
But that's what you're saying he's doing. That's what you're saying he's doing. Why doesn't Egypt allow any refugees?
Because that's the displacement.
No, voluntary displacement, like happens in every war. At the beginning of
voluntary? Did you just say that was a voluntary displacement?
What was? No, the possibility of going into Egypt would be voluntary. Like in the first month of the Ukraine-Russia war, 5.9 million people were allowed in. But for some reason...
So he sees no problem with that. He sees no problem with displacing 1.955 million Gazans out of 2.3 million. He sees no problem with that. Because something hunt for Hamas. So that grandma and that infant and that toddler your house has to be bombed and you have to leave there, and who knows where you're going to get your next meal from? Who knows the next time you're going to get clean water? There's no hospitals functioning, so you're not going to be able to get help if you lose an arm or a leg or whatever. He thinks, well, it's just war. This is what happens in every war. So I guess it's okay. Oh my God, man.
People's neighbors, their fellow Muslims, don't allow them in. Not one person. They condemn them to death.
That's the ethnic cleansing when you drive them from their homes.
During war, temporary displacement.
One thing.
He said temporary displacement. Ben, how much would you like to bet they never go back to North Gaza? Literally ever. How much you want to bet, Ben? We already have videos coming out of North Gaza where the IDF is putting Israeli flags every 30 feet. You already have some real estate firms talking about, would you like a beautiful condo, some beachfront property in Gaza? Because the goal is the resettlement of Gaza. Don't take my word for it. Take Ben-Gvir's word for it. Jesus, man, how Pollyannish and naive. All right, look, we could stop it here. This goes on. It's a 28 or 29-minute video. Go watch the whole thing. Go watch the whole thing. It is a wild debate. But suffice to say, I think the reason why Ben is so horrifically wrong and embarrassingly so is because he still buys into the framework that a lot of the media in the U.S. does and all the politicians in the U.S. do, which is, do I have criticisms of Israel? Sure. Do I have criticisms of Netanyahu? Sure. But at the end of the day, Israel is always, by definition, acting in defense. So it's way more moral by its very nature. That's his belief. That's his belief. And again, I just don't know how to get through to him that if you're doing a total siege, no food, no fuel, no water, no electricity for 2.3 million people, if you've bombed dozens of hospitals, if you've bombed standalone UN buildings, if you've bombed hundreds of schools, if you've bombed marketplaces, if people are so thirsty that they're drinking seawater to try to survive, if people are so hungry that they swarm whatever UN trucks get in, I don't know how you could think that's a hunt for Hamas. 70% of the aid trucks that they're trying to bring into North Gaza, the IDF has stopped them and turned them around. If you don't look at this and call it what it is, which is a genocide, which is an ethnic cleansing, that there is no set of facts where you would say this is a genocide or an ethnic cleansing. Even if Israel nuked Gaza, there'd be like something, Hamas was planning a big attack or something, and we had to kill all the grandmas and all the women and all the children, etc. Like, I don't know how you could look at a set of facts and still believe hunt for Hamas and Israel's trying so hard and they're being so moral. It's just, it baffles me beyond imagination, but here we are. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.